Welcome back, Maryville, to the Droppin' Dimes podcast. I'm Noah Cooper, joined by my co-host Perry Randle, where we break down all the latest action and news in the NBA season right now. How you doing this week, Perry?
I feel fantastic, my guy. You know why?
Why are you feeling so good?
Because Thanksgiving is about 3 weeks away. But in the meantime, there's been a lot of players that's been eating as of late.
What's so good about Thanksgiving, Perry?
But the food, what you mean? What the heck? What else are we going to talk about? It's the food, the greens, beans, potatoes, tomatoes, all that.
We loving Thanksgiving out here, all right? But you're right. You're exactly right. Some players have been eating as of late. One of those players in particular was Derrick Rose, comeback season Derrick Rose, who put up an unbelievable 50 points for the Minnesota Timberwolves just 2 short days ago to lead the Timberwolves to a victory over the Utah Jazz. What did you feel about Derrick Rose's performance, Perry?
It was really heartfelt. I feel like after you watch the interviews and the post game when he was at the podium and everything, you could just tell all the emotion was coming out. His nose was all red. You could tell he's been crying, and you could really feel it as an NBA fan just knowing everything that this man has been through, the meniscus injuries, of course, the ACL injury, the ankle injuries, everything, the optical injuries. Like, how you get these injuries? But
he's had so many injuries throughout his career, and this is just something that you love to see from a guy like Derrick Rose at this point in his career, because he's been through so much. You mentioned not only the injuries, but then you also have the scrutiny from the media and the fans from going through these injuries. They say he sat out too much before coming back from the ACL, before coming back from the meniscus. He always took the safest route possible and then would still wind up getting injured in the end. So it's awesome to see Derrick Rose come back and just kind of have this new comeback game, 50 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, put his heart out on the line for the Timberwolves on a game where 2 of your starters in Jimmy Butler and Jeff Teague didn't even play. So they needed Rose to put up this performance to come up with the victory, and they still only won by 3 over the Jazz.
And as a Bulls fan, how did you feel about this personally? I saw the tweets. You were sending me tweets. I was like, I can't respond. He's in another zone right now. But how did you feel? Now that you come down from that high?
I feel like all Bulls fans were appreciative of what he did yesterday. Even though it wasn't for the team, this is something that we know what – Bulls fans, we know what Derrick Rose has been through in terms of all the injuries that he's had, in terms of the heart he has to play basketball, the willingness that he loves the game of basketball.
Right.
But his body just deceived him. He just couldn't handle all the wear and tear that he was putting out on the court. And it was so nice to see this from Rose, to put up a performance like this. I think not only Bulls fans, but NBA fans. I mean, look at all the love that was shown for D Rose a couple days ago. You had NBA players now saying their praise for him, past NBA players, commentators, fans. It's almost like 100% approval rating of Derrick Rose at this point after this 50-point game.
So now going forward, since Jimmy Butler was out and we know all the controversial stuff that was happening with him and yelling at his teammates, you guys need me and all this stuff, how do you feel about the Timberwolves going forward? Is this something that's going to inspire them, especially that boy Cat? He needs some inspiration.
You would at least hope it inspires them. I mean, good gosh. I mean, Cat, to his credit, that game where D Rose put up 50 points, Cat had a 28-16 game. So quietly, Cat was doing his part for once this season. He was actually putting up some numbers. He was actually looking decent out there on the court. Whereas I still would like to see more from Wiggins in terms of attacking the basket with confidence, in terms of not taking that dumb mid-range pull-up over, the defender from 18 feet out. Play a smarter game out there on the court. Take better shots. Play better on offense. Go back to what made you so successful on the come up. We haven't really seen that much improvement from him over the last year and a half, and hopefully this Rose performance can inspire both of those guys to play better, because they need to live up to the contract that they're making right now.
Well, my man Derrick Rose, he went off for 50. He said before the game, he talked about it on the show, talking to 3D, and he said that he wanted to win Sixth Man of the Year. He'd be the first player to do it since Bill Walton, when he was with the Celtics, to win MVP and Sixth Man of the Year.
Which would be a really cool story for him
Absolutely.
to come back and do that. And I feel like Derrick Rose he almost spoke it into existence, the Sixth Man of the Year conversation. Yeah, it's almost like, who was thinking 4 days ago that I got Derrick Rose as my sixth man of the year this year. No one was thinking that. D Rose said it, and people were like, "Dang, that'd be really cool if he could do it." And then he goes out there and scores 50 the next game. People were like, "Wow, he might actually be a front runner for this."
Man, the fantasy people are probably losing their minds.
I know,
they're Derrick Rose on their team.
Yeah, because they probably drafted him in the last round if they got D Rose on their team.
I'll take Derrick Rose.
Yeah, screw it. I used to like him back in the day.
Right.
So, but for guys like that, Derrick Rose is playing inspired right now. I mean, he's averaging almost 19 points a game on the season. Granted, we're only 8 games in, but still, 19 points a game. I think when he was on New York, he put up 18 points a game, so that's even an improvement from there. He's shooting it at a better clip than he ever has before. Even in this 50-point game, he shot over 60% from the floor, and that's something we've always wanted to see out of D Rose in the past. For a guy that always struggled with his jump shot, you can tell that he's been putting time in the gym, in the offseason, in practices to improve his jump shot because he was always pretty good at the free throw line and always pretty decent from the mid-range. But if you can go 4 for 7 from 3 and start knocking down that three-point range at a higher clip, guys are going to have to come out to guard you. And that's going to help his game out to be able to move around those guys once they come out to guard him and make it easier for him to get in the lane. Because one of the reasons that his shot selection and his shooting percentage kept going down was because they could just fade off of him so much that it was so hard for him to get in the paint. He wasn't quite like Ben Simmons bodying those guys down low. And once he lost that athleticism to squeeze by those guys, his game just wasn't the same anymore. But if he can start getting that jump shot down, it could possibly be a scary D Rose this season. We'll just have to wait and see.
So now that we've seen what this Timberwolves team can be with Derrick Rose as the focal point of the offense, do you see them tweaking the starting lineup and inserting Derrick Rose and just trying it?
I feel like Derrick Rose won't start this season for the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves, yeah, for the Timberwolves because I feel like he'd be a pretty good spark off the bench. Yeah. He's the type of guy that you'd come in and you could. Obviously we can't expect Derrick Rose to put up numbers like this every night, but it's definitely a possibility that he could keep up this 18 to 20 point a game average that, we saw out in New York. We saw in his last season for the Bulls before he got traded to New York. Really, he's played somewhat solid the last few years. It's just he's just slowly been improving his game. But I feel like he could really provide a nice spark off the bench if he was to stay with the bench unit this season.
And going back to what he said to 3D about winning 6 Man of the Year, I think with guys like Jamal Crawford, Eric Gordon, once they have their mind made up on coming off the bench and understanding what they can bring off the bench,
just understanding their role for the team.
Exactly, they're more effective. And you see sometimes when they insert Jamal Crawford, Eric Gordon to start lineup, they're not as effective as they are coming off the bench. So I think it'll be good to see the Timberwolves keep Derrick Rose off the bench just because he understands that's his role in the team and that's how he can be effective and he's comfortable in that role because that's the only way that a player can excel in their role is to understand it and then go forward from there. So I'm excited to see what Derrick Rose has in store for the rest of the season. It's definitely a heartfelt story. Every Bulls fan, and maybe not so much for NBA fans as much as Bulls fans, but even NBA fans
it's
love
like
it.
The Chicago Bulls Twitter account, they quote tweeted the Minnesota Timberwolves account with just a heart.
Yeah, I saw
and the
that.
heart got 5 times more favorites and likes than the Timberwolves one did, just because Minnesota fans were appreciative of it too. They're giving him the standing ovation. I heard some MVP chants from the crowd, but it's like Bulls fans, they knew everything that he's had to go through and how humble of a guy he is. Just how great he is, handling media, just how great he is with his son, with all the practice that he's put in, and they know all the work that he's put in, and it's nice to see it finally pay off for Rose for one night. So hopefully he can keep this going, but it's going to be pretty tough. There's a lot of drama surrounding the Timberwolves, and then to add on to that, we don't know if Jimmy Butler's going to be playing soon, and they got the Warriors tonight at 9:30. So it could be an interesting game tonight. They might go up on Rose a little bit to. They might play him pretty hard on defense, so it'd be kind of interesting to see what Derrick Rose does tonight against the Warriors. Such a great team like that.
How much you got him getting tonight?
I don't know. I don't think it'll be anything close to
50 buckets of chicken again? Why not, baby?
You might get 50 of nothing. I'll tell you that. I'm thinking
50 of nothing.
I'm feeling.
Why not 25?
I feel like 8 points.
Wow.
I feel like I really
Such
do.
a Rose fan.
Now, if it was like if he was playing like I don't know, just looking at their upcoming schedule. I mean, they got like the Clippers and the Blazers. Those are two teams that give up quite a bit of points. Not to say the Warriors don't, but obviously they can play you a lot harder than the Blazers and the Clippers can. Then I can see him getting up in the 20s again. But the Warriors, they might take his last game. They probably won't, but they might take his last game a little personally, like, hey, you took a little bit of the limelight off of us. Our guys putting up 50 points, so now we got to hold you down next game.
I got him getting 15 to 20 points.
Yeah, I'll say 8 to 15. I think that's a solid number, but if he keeps up anything like he did the last game, he should at least get in the 20 range. If he can at least keep playing with that same energy, that same spark off the bench like he had before. I wouldn't be surprised if he could do something like that. But looking at the other drama surrounding the Timberwolves right now, we're not sure if Jimmy Butler is going to be playing because Shams put out that tweet that said that Jimmy still wants to be traded. He might be sitting out the next 6 weeks as a master plan to get traded from the Timberwolves. We saw that last week. Tom Thibodeau turned down that 4 first-round pick offer from the Rockets. What did you think about that, Perry?
The trade?
Mm-hmm, yeah, like the possible trade, and then Tom Thibodeau rumoring to having turned down that offer.
That's a lot to give up for not knowing. I feel like everybody knows that they're not going to win a title. They're not going to beat the Warriors. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. But that's a lot to give up. That's just giving up. That's basically like the Brooklyn trade from a long time ago when they gave up all their first-round picks for Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Jason Terry.
It's like at least the Rockets have, a better roster construction to where they could probably be okay giving up that because they still have Paul and Harden signed for the next few years, so they'll be all right. But still, like that's still a lot to give up. But like I was telling you yesterday on the show, I think Tibbs didn't accept that offer because, I mean, if he accepts that offer for 4 first-round picks, 4 years from now, he's not going to be able to draft those guys because he's not going to be with the team anymore. Like, what Tibbs wants to do is win right now. He wants a starting 2-guard for now. I feel like if he wants to get a trade out of the Rockets, yeah, he'll take a first-round pick or two, but I feel like ultimately he wants that starting 2-guard. He at least wants like Eric Gordon from the Rockets or something like that to get back from Jimmy Butler to still win now. Because not only Tibbs, but the organization and then the fans as well, they still want to make the playoffs this year. They don't want to go through another rebuilding period. They've seen that before for 15 years. So don't try to sell the Timberwolves fans short on a 2 to 3 year quick rebuilding plan after we just signed Wiggins and Towns. Like, they still want to win right now.
And I think if they do want to win right now, not having Jimmy Butler out there on the court is the right idea. I just feel like last year I talked about it sometimes on the show, I think with Carmelo Anthony, sometimes just bad juju, and you don't need that out on the court. And what we saw from Derrick Rose the other night.
There's a difference between Melo and Jimmy Butler. You got to have D. Rose put up 50 and Towns to go for 28 and 16 to beat a great team like the Jazz by 3, and they're still giving up 125 points. This is still a team that struggles on defense, and I feel like with Jimmy Butler in there, even if you got a little bit of that bad juju, he's still a type of guy that's going to get it done for you down the stretch. You might be able to trust D. Rose for one game, but can we trust him for the entire year? We've seen what Jimmy Butler can do before in terms of taking over the game down the stretch. Like we saw during that Lakers game, just a game before that. He kind of iced the game out with that three-pointer. He could still play lockdown defense on the other team's best player. I feel like even though you got a little bit of that bad juju, the players don't like him that much. I still feel like he's still going to help you win if you have him out on the court.
Oh, let's not get it twisted. That man is a superstar. Let's not get – okay, not superstar. I'll say he's a star.
He's a star. But he's a top 15 guy in the league.
That's fine. And you know what? Here's my thing. Talent wins you games, but teams win you championships. Mm-hmm. And we saw that last year in the NBA Finals that the Cleveland Cavaliers, they had this one guy with plenty of talent, but it wasn't enough to beat this team. Of course, they have some crazy monsters on their team, but at the same time, I would still take a team every day over somebody with just some talent, and they bring all this juju, all this bad juju, because it's going to affect everybody else. The other night when Derrick Rose had 50, I get that he had 50, but just think everybody was feeding him the ball. Everybody was happy every time.
Everyone was smiling.
And it can carry over. It'll spread over the course of the rest of the season if everybody can stay happy and have a positive mindset. So I would rather take this good juju that I see Derrick Rose and his inspiring performance that he gave out to the team. I'd rather take that instead of having Jimmy Butler come save us during a game against the Los Angeles Lakers any night. I would take that.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see what you're.
But let's not get it twisted. I trust me, I hear what you're saying. That man is a bucket getter. Yeah. PBG. I haven't said it in a while. Premier bucket getter. Let's not get it twisted. But over the course of 82 games, I would rather take a team over talent.
Yeah, and the Timberwolves, they still haven't even won on the road this year. They're 0-3 on the road. They're going to be going on a road trip. Right now, they play the Warriors on the road, the Blazers on the road, the Clippers on the road, the Lakers on the road, and then the Kings on the road as well. So they got a 5-game. Their next 5 games are all going to be on the road. So hopefully they can get a little bit of that good D Rose energy to win one of those games. But that's going to be somewhat of a hard next 5 games they got going. You know, they're sitting at 4-4 right now. Warriors next game is going to be tough. The Blazers are sitting near the top of the Western Conference early in the season right now. The Clippers are always going to be a solid team. The Lakers again. And then your Kings right now, Perry. What is going on in Sacramento?
Look, I spoke it into existence just like Derrick Rose did. Mm-hmm. I've been saying it for a while. I said the Kings are on the come up.
Yeah, but did you see 6-3 coming?
I
don't think anyone saw 6-3 coming.
I saw a fight for 8th place. That's what I saw. And what are we doing? What place are we in right now?
I don't even know if Vlade Divac saw a fight for 8th place. You saw the
gift where he was, the shoulders. You saw the gift.
30 years ago.
That's fine. He was doing it for now. And that's all that matters. But, look, the Kings, we got De'Aaron Fox. We just got a lot of young talent, and it's been a couple of years, so it's going to start to mesh, hopefully. And, look, my man had 31, 10, and 15, the youngest player to ever do so. Sheesh, that boy is a bad man.
He joined LeBron as one of 2 players to ever do that, 21 or younger. So, I mean, that's obviously an impressive club to be in if you got LeBron. Any club you're in with LeBron's going to be impressive.
I think that this team is probably one good star away from being like a New Orleans Pelicans type of team. They're still not better than the Warriors. I'm not crazy, but same time.
They're sitting better than the Pelicans right now somehow.
Hey, Anthony Davis didn't play last night.
Yeah, so and now the Pelicans, they've lost 4 in a row, too. So it's like those teams are almost 2 opposites right now. Pelicans lost 4 in a row, and then we got the Kings winning 5 in a row out here. So
we are the real deal. That's what I've been trying to preach.
One thing is, I don't know how well these players are going to mesh together all season because obviously we haven't seen them ever mesh together that well. This is almost basically the same roster construction that we've seen from them last season, and obviously they're playing
Vince Carter.
I don't know how much Vince Carter was really helping out the team.
He helped us out and he left. That's all right.
Yeah, maybe making weak dunks in the pregame or something.
Weak. You saw the windmill the other night.
That was pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie, man. But I don't know. Looking at the schedule that they've played to win these 5 games, they've only beat the Grizzlies, the Wizards, the Heat, the Magic, and the Hawks.
Look, so you can only play who's in front of you.
I understand, but I just feel like they haven't played the best schedule of teams to start the season.
Is that our fault?
No, it's not. It's not. And in the past, I feel like we would have seen the Kings lose probably 2 or 3 of these games, at least at the minimum. So it's good to see that they're actually beating these bad teams. It's just to know if the Kings are for real in terms of fighting for that 8 spot or that 7 spot in the playoffs. I want to see them actually do well against solid competition. They played the Pelicans with Anthony Davis, and they gave up 150. You know, they lost by 20 that game. They played the Nuggets with their full lineup. They lost by 20 that game as well. So I'm interested.
What about the other games? How much do we win by?
Against you beat the Grizzlies by 5, the Wizards by 4, the Heat by 10, the Magic by 8. And then you wreck the Hawks, but everyone's wrecking the Hawks.
Hey,
that doesn't even.
Rome wasn't built in one day. Okay, give us some time.
Hey,
look,
if you say so.
It's a work in progress. I'm very excited for this team, and of course you're excited when you're winning. But I feel like this team just has a good core that can bounce back once they start losing. I like Buddy Hield. I like De'Aaron Fox. Cauley Stein, he's a beast on the boards. I just really like this team, and as long as they can continue to grow and mature, I think that this team could be fighting for that 8th spot. Now, I feel like
they kind of need a veteran as well on their team to kind of lead these because I mean they got a lot, basically their entire roster construction.
Hey, we're giving our pitch to Klay Thompson this summer, and let's just see what he says.
I don't think he's going to be listening too hard.
Maybe he wants to stay in California but not play for the Warriors.
Yeah, maybe not.
He ain't got to go to the Lakers or the Clippers. Yeah, we'll play with Sacramento.
We'll see.
Look, if we finish 10th seed or lower or higher.
Oh, that's a win for them.
I'm happy. Mm-hmm. That's all I want to see. That's it.
Just some steady improvement, to help your team out a little bit, help them grow over time.
In the midst of that, I want my chicken sandwich.
Don't worry, you'll get the chicken sandwich.
Appreciate it. Cheese, no pickle.
The Kings will have a better record than the Bulls will this year.
You know.
So, I mean, I can already tell that. I'm not even sure the Bulls are going to win.
I wish we could have a flashback a couple weeks ago. All that trash talk I heard.
I told you they weren't that good, but I didn't think the Kings were that good either.
We're that good. All right.
Hey, one team that's been on the up and coming for a while now and was basically where the Kings were these last couple of years, that was the Milwaukee Bucks. And right now they play the Bucks next game, and the Bucks right now are sitting with the best record in the entire NBA with 1 loss, 7-1 right now. They did just lose to the Celtics last night, like you said they would. I didn't think the Celtics would make that many threes. They were kind of balling out from deep. I think they shot like 55, 60 threes.
Made 24.
Yeah, that's all you can ask for. But see, the thing was, the Bucks, they're looking pretty good. Even that game last night against the Celtics, who are on a streak of themselves winning 4 in a row, the Celtics had made all those threes. They had made, I want to say that it was near 20 threes by the start of the fourth quarter, and it was still a pretty close game. So this Bucks team, I feel like with this rejuvenated offense from Coach Mike Budenholzer, I feel like they're still going to be a really scary team out east that I feel like a lot of people underestimated coming into the season.
I think right now they're where the Sixers were last year. Everybody was like, man, the Sixers team is good. And you know, there was some. I think I had them going to the conference finals, the Sixers, and you know they fell short to the Boston Celtics. But
I feel like a lot of people had them going to the conference finals.
They look like the real deal, and
they did.
I feel like that's how this Bucks team is. I feel like they look like the real deal, but in reality, they're probably just a good second round team right now, and they could possibly get to the conference finals.
I can't believe, and we've kind of been saying this for a while now, like out in Milwaukee, it's a coaching issue, it's a coaching issue, it's a coach, and then like. We're right. You know, it's a coaching issue. Like, that's really what it was the whole time. Like, Jason Kidd couldn't get the job done. That interim guy from last year who I already forgot, he couldn't get the job done. Yeah, I don't know if anyone knows his name, honestly. But
Nick Nurse.
Honestly, Coach Mike Budenholzer right now, he's getting it done for him right now. And I think it always helps when you got a guy like Giannis on your team who right now has the #1 MVP odds out there. The number one.
I got picked him and AD.
You said him and AD.
Yeah,
so.
I got 2 picks, one from the West, one from the East. That's all right.
Okay. The same baseball, but, you know, we'll count it. But Giannis out there, even in a loss last night, still putting up impressive numbers, still getting over 30 points, like we've seen from him many times this season, still putting up a double-double with rebounds, getting 11 rebounds. And we've seen that a lot from Giannis this year, a guy that added a lot of muscle in the offseason.
I want to see his game mature to where he's taking clutch shots in isolation situations, sort of like LeBron, Kobe, those guys, where they can just give me the ball, everybody else get out the way, and I'm getting that bucket. Last night he had a reverse layup that would have tied the game, and he missed it over the rim because of Al Horford's defense. I think it was a very makeable shot, but of course I'm not Giannis Antetokounmpo.
We've seen him struggle down the stretch in a few games over the last couple of years. Because I believe, didn't he step out of bounds in a game last year against the Thunder, I think.
Yeah.
He hit the baseline with his foot, you know, that long, lengthy body. But so we've seen him struggle a little bit down the stretch. But I don't know if we can ever think of Giannis or want Giannis to be one of those guys that takes over like a Kobe Bryant, because I just don't know if they're hardwired the same way.
Oh, well, I mean, he works out with him in the off season a lot, so hopefully it rubs off. But it's definitely going to have to be a work in progress just because – you know, this guy doesn't have a three-point jumper right now, so he's not as much of a threat down the stretch in certain situations just because you can guard him a certain way. You can force him to do certain things. But last night, man, he had a really makeable shot, and all he had to do was make a reverse layup. Al Horford didn't contest it after he went under the rim, so I just think that they need to mature in those situations. I love Chris Middleton. I love how, you give him the ball, that's almost a bucket guaranteed. I think Malcolm Brogdon, he needs to mature just a little bit. Won Rookie of the Year a couple of years ago. I just think he needs to keep on growing.
In a weak rookie class.
And then Eric Bledsoe missed a free throw. That could have. And it's just little things that they're right there. And I'm excited for this team, but I still don't think that this team is on the same level as the Sixers and the Celtics.
Yeah, it's too bad that Eric Bledsoe had to miss that yesterday.
Scary Terry.
Right.
Scary Terry.
No, but I think one thing that I really like about the Bucks this season is the amount of 3-point shots they're taking and adding to their game. Even though Giannis can't quite step out there and make three-point shots at a high clip at this point in his career. The rest of the team is, because they're over half their shots, over 52% of their shots that they're taking this season have been three-point shots. Compared to in the past, it was at 30% of their shots were three-point shots, but the league average is around 35, so they're way above the league average at this point. And I think it's really helped them out so far. This is something that we saw Toronto do a little more last season to be successful in the regular season, take more three-point shots, have a completely different offensive style of play. And we've seen a little bit of that this season from the Bucks, and it's really worked out for them well this season.
Well, we saw Coach Budenholzer take the Hawks to 60 wins a couple years ago when they went against the Cavs.
He's a good coach.
He's a good coach, and he knows how to make players work together.
Top five.
I don't know about that, but he knows how to make people's games fit each other, and I think that's what he's doing with Milwaukee. And I wouldn't be surprised if they have their best regular season record in Milwaukee history this year.
What are you thinking for wins for the Bucks this season?
I'm gonna go with I'm gonna say 46.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm thinking higher right now at this point.
Sheesh.
Honestly.
In the East?
Well, yeah, in the East, I'm really thinking they win more than 46. I'm thinking they really
52?
could get. I'm thinking they could really get up there at 50-52 range. Especially if Giannis keeps up this style of play and their offense keeps rolling like this, I really think they do.
I just think that once they start going against West teams, they're going to struggle.
Those top teams in the West.
Right.
Top teams in the West right now, they're all on a huge winning streak right now. Warriors 6 games, Nuggets 3 games, Blazers 3 games, Spurs 3 games, Kings 5 games, Grizzlies 2 games. Every team in the West right now is just really rolling.
And the reason why I say that they will probably lose to those West teams because last night they lost to a team that is not even known for three-point shooting, and they just got hot that night. And a lot of West teams are known for three-point shooting. So I feel like they're going to struggle with that, but I still feel like they'll be able to get at least 46 wins.
Yeah, well, one of those teams that right now are tied with the Raptors with the team that we saw make all those off-season moves. I guess one main off-season move, and that was to add Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green on their team, take away DeMar DeRozan, trade him to the Spurs, and this is something that I feel like for both teams has really worked out quite well.
I'm in complete agreement with you. Both these teams, they gave up their best players, and it seems like it was time for change for both teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kawhi didn't want to play in San Antonio at all anymore, even though he still could have last season. I feel like, in my opinion, a lot of people feel that way. He could have played for them, but he almost gave up on the Spurs. I didn't know if he would really like playing with the Raptors. I almost thought he'd give up on the Raptors too, but we've seen the complete opposite. We're starting to see young guys around the league who haven't really faced this Kawhi Leonard yet. Like we saw Ben Simmons quote, he's like, Kawhi is a scary man. This dude's hands are massive. This guy's lengthy as hell. What are we going to do to stop this guy?
Well, I just think anytime a guy does a no-look steal, I think he's pretty good. And he's probably enjoying himself just because he's able to beat him without any pressure, any expectation, playing alongside Kyle Lowry, Serge Ibaka, Jonas Valanciunas, just a bunch of guys, and his boy Danny Green as well. Just a bunch of guys.
A team that's played together for quite a while now.
Right, and everybody's just happy. And down the stretch, they give Kawhi the ball, and he goes to work. And it's just pretty simple. I just think everything's simple for him. I think in San Antonio, as soon as he got injured, everybody started to turn on him, and it just felt like everything wasn't right for Kawhi in San Antonio. So now that he's in Toronto, you got a fresh start. That laugh he did, all that. He's just having a good old time, man, and ain't nothing wrong with that. So along with that is everybody being happy and they're winning. Man, I really wish that they would have played against. I really wish that Kawhi would have played against Giannis.
Yeah, that's a disservice to the fans right there.
Man, I was really about to go to wing night somewhere and to go eat and everything. Man, they're not even playing. We got concussion protocol for Giannis, and we got rest.
Are you kidding me? Rest?
Ridiculous. But I mean, I think they're good at thinking long term because they did rest him, and it's not about that game. Because they're not going to go 82-0.
Yeah.
But it's about having him healthy for the playoffs because they're trying to really make a push for the finals this year. So
and now they don't have LeBron James out east, too. So now they probably feel like this is the first time in a while where we really feel like we got a shot. We don't have that hanging over our head anymore. LeBron James out there, because I feel like that was something always in the back of their minds, like, can we beat this guy? Now, they don't have to worry about that. LeBron James is out west. And also out west, on the flip side of that trade, San Antonio Spurs, like I said, they've won 3 in a row now. They're sitting at 5-2. They had 2 ACL tears to start out their season, but bouncing back strong from that. And DeMar DeRozan, he's been a type of guy that's fit in this Spurs system very well, like we thought he would. He's fit almost Kawhi's role in the past, and he's done almost just as good, and we've seen him really take over games down the stretch of the season so far.
Yeah, and before the season, I was predicting that Popovich would make DeMar DeRozan more efficient, and that's basically what he's done, because
taking smart shots out on the court.
Right, because when we saw LaMarcus Aldridge first come to San Antonio, he wasn't as efficient. So this tells me that DeMar DeRozan truly has some good talent, because he's able to still be him at a higher rate because he has a better coach. And, you know, down the stretch of the games, I'm loving the way he's just taking the ball, get out the way, I got it. And I love to see that, because he's a big Kobe Bryant fan. So it's good to see him try to implement that stuff into his game, because we didn't see that all playoffs last year. That man wasn't even playing down the stretch of games. So it's just good to see him happy and just making the most of his opportunity and where he's at right now, because this team could really be scary once they have a healthy team. And even now, with him, LaMarcus Aldridge and Pau Gasol, and who else? They got some other good guys that, Patty Mills. These guys can make some shots, and all they got to do is just put it together, and they have the right coach for it. So I'm excited for the Spurs team. And, no one talks about them, but come playoffs time.
No one's still talking about them.
Come time for the playoffs, there going to be people talking. Don't worry about that.
It's DeMar who? I forgot who that was. No, man, but the Spurs, they got a great coach. Some teams that don't have quite as good of coaches are the Wizards right now, who they might be early season leaders to be hitting that panic, hitting that reset button right now, because they're starting out at 1-6. I feel like another team that's got to be up in that conversation is the Rockets, who have started their season out 1-5, which is a total flip from last season. You mentioned yesterday on the show maybe Melo's the cancer on their team, as we've now seen the Rockets lose 4 in a row. Like I said, sitting at 1-5. How do you feel about that Rockets start, Perry?
Oh, man, it's just a weird dynamic, man. Carmelo and Mike D'Antoni didn't fit in New York, and now they're back together in Houston, and now they got to deal with Chris Paul and
more drama,
James Harden, and they're trying to trade for Jimmy Butler. They just got a lot going on, man. It's not simple as like we was talking about Kawhi earlier. It's just simple for Kawhi. But in Houston, man, they have a problem, and they just got to figure it out. I don't know what's going on.
Houston's got a problem.
That's why I said it. I knew you would get it, but
I like it.
They got a problem, and it's just a lot going on. And the game's not really simple. I think they need to kind of figure out their roles. James Harden hasn't been James Harden like how he was last year. Again, 60-point triple-double. Oh, my gosh. I ain't never heard of that since Wilt. But you got to deal with that. You got Chris Paul. You got Carmelo Anthony. You got Eric Gordon. He's got a bunch of guys, and then their defense definitely isn't as good as it once was, as we talked about before, with Ariza and Baumute gone now. So they just have a lot to figure out. But I do see this team picking it back up, just because they do have veterans on their team that know how to win. So I do see them getting back on the winning side eventually. I don't know how soon.
We said it. We feel like Melo and the other pieces, Michael Carter-Williams, for example, we felt like those pieces that they added in the offseason weren't as good as the pieces they lost in guys like
definitely
Trevor
downgrade.
Ariza and Ryan Anderson. So obviously we've seen the effects of that so far this season. We've seen that this team hasn't played the same way that they have last season, and it's obviously paying dividends for them right now. Like, this hasn't been that great to start out the year. Much like them, the Wizards as well. They've had chemistry issues in the past, and it just seems like that's carrying forward to this year. A lot of weird things going on. Still a lot of the weird roster construction. And sitting at 1-6 right now, their front office might be thinking the same thing. It's almost panic mode out here, even though it's so early in the season.
I agree, but on any given night, this team is still scary. They can still put up 43s. So I would not be worried about this Rockets team.
I'm talking about the Wizards now.
You talking about the Wizards?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, I thought you still talking about the Rockets.
Nah, man.
Well, with the Wizards, man, I don't even want to talk about them. That's probably why I didn't even hear you.
I said
garbage.
I said they might be really wanting to hit the reset button. At first when you said that, I was like, hold on. Any given night they can put up 43s. Like,
absolutely not. Negative 43s.
Thinking in the back of my head, like, oh, what?
No.
But no, I feel like they really. This might not be too great of a season out there in Washington for them.
Oh, this is going to be the worst team. They need to blow it up immediately.
Bad coach, bad chemistry, bad roster construction. Something I've always said in the past, though, is I feel like it's so hard for them to blow it up because they pay John Wall so much money. I mean, I mentioned it so many times, but when you give a guy that much money, you almost make his contract untradeable. And they're going to have to find out other pieces that they want to trade, but I'm sure that no one wants to pick up Otto Porter Jr.'s $90 million contract because he's definitely not worth that. He signed in that cap spike year. So I feel like it's just going to be really hard for them in Washington to get the pieces that they want around some of these guys because some of their contracts on their team are just so expensive.
I'm ready to talk about Houston again. I don't even want to talk about the Wizards. But no, I have no faith in this Wizards team. I said last year, it's time to blow it up, man. It's just not working. You know, I feel like their situation is kind of similar to Portland's. I think Portland, they can still try it a little bit longer, but it's kind of similar situations where these guards, man, it's just not working, and the pieces that they're adding is not helping either. And like you said, with the contracts are terrible.
Yeah, and a trade is definite needed if you want to improve. Perry, one last team I want to go over before the podcast is over. This one guy named LeBron James. Right now, starting off at 3-5, nearly identical to his NBA Finals record at this point.
Nothing
new right now. We've seen the Lakers start off at 3-5. Is this something to be concerned about moving forward for the Lakers, Perry?
Absolutely not. I always talk about it when Miami went 10-10. And of course, that's a completely different dynamic. But at the end of the day, you still have the best player on the planet, and that's LeBron James. So there is no reason for concern right now. They just got back Randle and Brandon Ingram, so they're still trying to figure it out. But I would not worry until I go to that game in January. Tell me what their record is, and if it's still, let's say 10 games below 500, then might need to worry a little bit.
Well, they're 2 games under right now. Say they go off and lose 5 out of their next 6 games or something like that, then you're sitting at seeing them 7 under 500. And when you're 7 under 500 out in the West, and you might have to win 48, 49, 50 games to even make the playoffs, and you don't want the 8 seed because you're going to have to face the Warriors in the first round.
Man, I had them finishing as a 4 or 5 seed. I was completely wrong.
Yeah, man, I told you 6, 7.
You told me, man. One of the few times where I'm wrong, man. You got me.
Just wait till they rattle off 20 in a row, and then you're still right.
Hey, I'm right. And all that. But no, man, this team, it's just right now they're figuring it out, and I'm still interested to see how they're going to face adversity. Mm-hmm. And
but we definitely said that we felt like they'd start off slow because not only is adding LeBron on your team going to be a struggle in and of itself, but you got all these other guys on their team that haven't really played together at all before. The meme team construction that they got, JaVale McGee, Rondo, Brandon Ingram, obviously Ingram, Ball, and Hart. They played a lot, and Kuzma as well. They played a lot together last season, but those are really the only returning guys that play a lot of big minutes that are actually good for you. I'm not going to include Kentavious Caldwell-Pope in that conversation because he ain't doing that many good things out on the court. But still, with the Lakers, we figured they'd get off to a slow start, but we don't want to see this slow start continue too long, or it's going to be an uphill battle for them to even make the playoffs.
Let me clarify what I'm about to say. So in 2014, 15, 16, those were, or 16, 17, 2 years after Kobe retired, those were lost seasons for the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, with the potential of this team,
I had like Sacre on the team.
Oh, they were garbage. But the potential of this team, since they have LeBron,
just taking a nap on the bench that one game.
since they have LeBron on this team, they have the potential of making the playoffs. I feel like, honestly, this might end up being a lost season for the Los Angeles Lakers. And that's probably like a 9-8 seed. Just because of the potential. Everybody has them going to probably second round conference final. So I feel like this is going to be a lost season. And, you know, they still got a lot of things to figure out. But I think they're really shooting for next summer when they can try to get a free agent.
One last thing I want to talk about the Lakers before we close off the podcast. Just a notification I just got on my phone just now about how Magic Johnson warned Luke Walton, things have to improve after this slow start, after this sluggish 3-5 start. What do you make of Magic's comments to Luke Walton right now, 8 games into the season?
But that's just Magic letting the public know, look, I'm still focused. I ain't just get LeBron and be done with it. No, I'm still trying to win. So it's kind of just not only a reminder to Luke Walton what the game plan is, but along with the rest of the world, that Magic Johnson, he's serious about winning. We got the best player in the world. We're trying to construct a team, and we just need a coach that's going to be able to control all these personalities, everything that's going on, because you're still in La La Land. So there's a lot going on with all the celebrities, and everybody wants to see you win. But 3-5 is not going to cut it in the West, like you said before. So I just think that's Magic Johnson putting everybody on notice that, hey, time is a ticking.
For sure. And when you have Luke Walton at the coaching helm and you do get off to this sluggish start, say this does continue, do you see Luke Walton possibly being fired in LeBron's first season there, or do you think Magic's still going to give him a chance?
I mean, David Black got fired in LeBron's first season back in Cleveland, so I wouldn't be surprised. And, the NBA is a tough league for coaches, and no matter how much you're winning, we saw with Lionel Hollins in Memphis, he was a winning coach, but he still got fired. So I wouldn't be surprised if Luke Walton got fired. It would be unfortunate, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. I feel like, well, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like Magic might give him a chance to start it out. Like, he might give him a little bit of a chance, maybe make it at least halfway through the season.
He won't get fired until 30 games into the season.
Yeah, like he won't. I know he warned him today, but he's not just going to fire him if they lose 2 more games, I feel like.
Right.
So I guess we'll see what happens there. But either way, the Lakers are sitting at 3-5 right now, and they're definitely going to need to make some more improvements before things start to get too out of whack. So you got anything else to talk about tonight, Perry?
Hey, man, it's just a beautiful day to be beautiful.
Beautiful day.
I can't wait to watch some more NBA action tonight. Like I said, Thanksgiving's coming up, so I feel great.
I don't know how you couldn't feel great with Thanksgiving right around the corner.
Tomatoes.
Loving Thanksgiving, loving Christmas season right after that, too. So a lot of great things to look forward to. A lot of great things to look forward to in the NBA, especially because obviously there's always something going on in the NBA. We barely even touched on the Warriors, who this week absolutely went off in terms of Steph Curry getting over 50 points in 3 quarters, Klay Thompson breaking the NBA record, getting 14 3-pointers in 3 quarters as well. Durant and Curry combining for nearly 70 points in a game. We didn't even get into that, but obviously the Warriors are always still going to be a great team, a team to be reckoned with, one of the greatest teams of all time this season. So I think that'll be it for this week's episode, or this week's Droppin' Dimes podcast episode. We'll be back next week, more than likely, with another podcast. So stay tuned for that as well, and check out the Droppin' Dimes show every Thursday from 4 to 6 on KZLX, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter as well at Droppin_Dimes1. That'll be it for this week's show. So for Perry Randle, I'm Noah Cooper, and we out.